All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. It's been a long break, let's be honest. I hope everyone's doing well. I do want to just kind of mention the breakdown. I have been getting some new content out there. Kind of been producing a podcast more for fantasy football, and I will be covering PGA DFS in that a little bit. That's going to be on the website. Then also, been doing a lot of golf ball reviews, been releasing those on Sunday and Monday. Something fun that I like to do, so I'd appreciate that. If you guys want to, you guys can check that out. It's just, some fun content that I just kind of want to get out there to do, as a fun thing. Have updated the logo slightly, as you guys will see. Did some new things to the video format. So I kind of hope that you guys like all those improvements. Let's get into this tournament. So obviously it's going to be the Charles Schwab Challenge. I already messed that up. In case some of you guys don't know this from last year, the Charles Shaw Challenge is something that me and my buddies would do. It's you go to Trader Joe's, you pick up the $3 bottle of wine. Whoever finishes it first is Charles Shaw. So I might be having a couple people on to do that as a fun video thing as well for this. But it's the Charles Shaw Challenge played at Colonial Country Club. And the nice thing about this, yes, the event's being played at a different time, but we know what stats to look at for this course. Now the problem with the stats that we're going to be looking at is that these players haven't played in forever. And essentially, the more time off that a player has off, it's like 0.1 of a stroke more as time goes on. So after like 4 weeks is when it really starts to add up. I will post, there's like an article that PGA Tour did on that. One of the 9 to 5 members posted that. So I'll actually be having that in the link in the description below. So if you guys want to take a bigger dive into that, that'll be in the link in the description below. But pretty much, what happens is that, it's normal. You don't do something for a while. You need to get back into the rhythm of it. So the things that we're looking at, like key stats or current form, aren't going to be as big of a factor. Now, obviously, that's stuff that we do want to look at because I do think it's going to be easier for a golfer to bounce back right now when the last feelings that they had were positive feelings about their golf game. Typically, we like to look at the long-term stats here. So for the most part, those stats are going to be accurate and indicative of their natural game. So those will help. But still, we don't have that full picture right now. We only have the course history to go off of. And even still, the event's being played a little bit later on than it typically would. So not everything's equal like it was, a few months ago. A few months ago, we were on a roll, okay? It was, a really hot streak that we had going, especially into the Players' Championship as well. That was because recent form, course history, and the stat fit, we had enough of a sample size going. We don't really have that right now as much as we did previously. So some of the players that have some really good course history, we'll just go over it real quick. So we got Kevin Na, Tony Finau, Webb Simpson, Jordan Spieth has had pretty good course history. Harris English, really solid course history. Adam Hadwin hasn't had bad course history. Emiliano Grillo has actually had some really solid course history. Kevin Streelman's been pretty solid. Andrew Putnam, good course history. There's one thing that really comes out when we're looking at course history is the key stats that we need to focus on. So key stats that we're going to be looking at are going to be actually fairways hit, the percentage. And that's not a normal stat that we look at, but 11 out of the last 12 years, this is ranked as top 15 fairways hit, courses to hit the fairway in. So I do really think that that's going to be a strong stat for us to look at. So fairways hit percentage is something that we're going to be looking at. You can also look at total driving. Fairways hit percentage is a factor into that. So total driving I'll be looking at as well. I always look at that. Same thing with ball striking. Now you can look at proximity or strokes gained approach. I'm kind of going to be looking at both of them. I kind of did a hybrid stat this week, a little bit because I had more time to do it this week. Greens and regulation I do like to look at as well. And then we're also going to be looking at 3-putt avoidance because there's typically a lot of 3-putts that occur on this course. And I actually did factor that in with total putting a little bit as well to kind of, mix the stats and to gear it up the way I want the stats to look. So that's what we're going to be looking at for stats. And so for the first time in 2 months, let's break down the player pool. All right, so we're going to be started off on the high end. So Rory McIlroy, it's interesting. So we did get to see some film on Rory, and he really looked like he didn't lose a step. I mean, he was playing pretty elite. What was it? The match versus DJ. DJ did not look good. Ricky and Matthew Wolff. Now, Rory, yes, his fairways hit percentage isn't good, but he can club down and it won't be a factor. So Rory, I do really like this week. If we can pay up for him, we should. He's going to be solid. He's had 6 starts on the year. All 6 of them have been top 10 finishes. We know he was electric. Jon Rahm, too. If you want to pay up for him, you can. He had a miscut here last year, but before that he had a T5 and a T2. He's a really strong staff fit as well. He's the second best staff fit in the field. After that, there's not much that I like. I don't want to pay for Justin Thomas. I don't want to play for Bryson. We'll go lower. Webb Simpson's going to be the next guy that I like. Obviously, I really like Webb Simpson. Everyone kind of already knows that, but we're getting a really nice price discount. He should be priced up there with Rory and Jon Rahm. I think it's just a name association thing with this pricing for him. Webb Simpson had, 5 of his 6 starts have been top 10 finishes, and you look at them, a first, third, 10th, second, 7th, overall, T7. He's the best staff in the field as well. 6th in total driving, 3rd in ball striking, 4th in strokes gained approach. He's top 10 in strokes gained approach, greens and regulation, and he's top 50 in fairways hit percentage. So I do really like Webb Simpson this week. I think if we can pay up for him, we should. He'll probably be a core play for me this week. So moving on, we can go a little bit lower. DJ, I don't really like. Xander has actually kind of had some bad course history. Miscut, T48. So my guy, I think I'll be avoiding him this week. DJ, like I said, his game just did not look there. Ricky I'd be fine with. We know that his game fits this style of course. He had a miscut and a T14, so I might end up on him a little bit. Sanjay M, top 10 staff in the field this week. He had a miscut here last year, but once again, he played a lot of events last year. If there's anyone that I think has shown that he can bounce back after some time off, Sanjay M is one of those guys. He takes like 3 weeks off and he's good to go again. So I do like Sanjay M this week. We're getting him at a pretty low price discount here. 13 out of 14 make cuts in the year. And before break, he was really on a tear there. T29, first, third, and he had that miscut mixed in there. Really, other than that, he had been pretty solid. So I'd be fine with him at that price point. We could go a little bit lower to a guy who this course seems like it was made for, this event. Collin Morikawa, 11 out of 11 straight cuts made. Heck, if we go back to last year, he's made 21 straight cuts. He is top 64 or better in all the stats that we're looking at, so obviously he's going to be a top 10 stat fit. The only thing that he really struggles with is going to be that putting. So if that putter comes around, I can see a top 10 finish. Now, it's really going to depend on how he's putting it. This course should fit him pretty well. It's not too high of a price point for Collin Morikawa. The problem with that play is that I think I'd rather just go down to Gary Woodland. Gary Woodland is going to be a strong play this week, I think. He's one of those guys, too, where he had some, bad events. The Farmers Insurance, that was a bad miscut. The Waste Management, T40. And then he kind of came back. T12, T8. He's been pretty solid this year other than that as well. Obviously, he had that nice little run in there in the fall swing. But Gary Woodland, just a stud. We know he's a great ball striker and total driver. He's first in both of those, actually. He's top 20 in strokes gained total. He's 16th in strokes gained approach. He's top 10 in GUR. And he's top 75 in fairways hit percentage. So Gary Woodland's one of those guys that I really do like. And I think if he needs to club down, it's not going to be a struggle for him. Matt Kuchar, it kind of makes sense why he's done well. And his game has been coming around. So Matt Kuchar, I really don't mind as a play this week. I look at his course history. It's T32, T12, and T6. Really strong play. Now, he hasn't been popping as much as he was kind of years prior, but his price is pretty much factored into that at, $8,500. So I think we're getting a nice price discount because, to be honest, he just didn't look that sharp there. But if we kind of go back to it, we were able to kind of decipher why that happened. You remember the Sony Open. We kind of know what happened there. The whole Hawaii trip and whatnot. RSM Classic, he didn't play poorly. So really, other than that, he's had a pretty solid year. So I do like Matt Kuchar, especially at that price point. Good course history. This is going to be a good course for him. He's top 10 in fairways hit percentage. And he's really been a strong putter. He's top 20 in that as well. So I do like Matt Kuchar. Moving on, I don't know if we really have to pay for anyone this high up because there's so many studs later on. So I'll start off with Daniel Berger. Daniel Berger is a guy that we actually played a ton early on. Kind of right before the break, let's say. But he's a guy that we've kind of played quite a bit this year. He really only had that one bad event at the Houston Open. 7.7K for a guy that's only missed one cut when it was really just one bad week. 3 top 10 finishes, and yes, those came right before the end of this quarantine break, if you will. Course history is not the best. T53 missed cut, but a really strong stat fit. So he's 5th in total driving, top 30 in ball striking, 14th in strokes gained total, 55th in total putting, and he's 16th in fairways hit percentage. So all those stats are really adding up to Daniel Berger probably making the cut, and maybe, just maybe, he can continue his hot streak that he was on before this break. Now we go a little bit lower to Harris English. I don't get this price point, guys. 5 top 10 finishes before break. He was really excelling once again. T9, and then 2 top 20 finishes. At this price point, if we get a top 20 finish, we're happy about it. He only missed 1 cut. Harris English had been electric, okay? And he also has good course history, a T20, T29, and a 2nd overall finish. His lowest stat is fairways hit, T65 in that. Strokes gained approach is 41st, and then every single other stat is T24 or better. So this just seems like a missed price. He'll probably be a core play. I should explain something too. With kind of what I talked about, it's harder to predict this week kind of what's going to happen. There's more variance that occurs. So I don't think we should be as overweight on players as we typically would. So if I say someone's a core play, sometimes that means I'm playing that player in like 50% of my builds. This week it might be closer to 35%. I'm going to try to narrow down the player pool so that, I will have players that are in different percentages, but I want it to be a lot tighter this week than it probably typically would, because the stats that we're looking at are going to be right. We know that. We look at course history and recent form as well. Obviously, we don't really have that recent form, but the overall message that I'm trying to send is that there's just a lot more variance. So I'm going to factor that variance into my builds if I'm trying to, mass enter. So I just want to get that out there for you guys, just so you know that. After English, Ryan Palmer is an interesting play. He is really strong at hitting fairways, top 30 in that. T6, miscut, T70, and a T3, so not bad. Billy Horschel is actually pretty surprised by this price point, because Billy Horschel has made 9 out of 11 cuts. He had been really solid too. Really great recent form. He has a T9 and a T34 finish. He's top 40 in fairways hit, 35th in total putting, and he's top 35 in both ball striking and total driving. So Billy Horschel, I really like at that price point. That seems like a steal. Going a little bit lower now. So I know Adam Hadwin, he sort of has been struggling, if you will, but he was making cuts 7 out of 8 on the year. And he has fine course history, a T52, a T53, and a T22. All the stats we're looking at for Adam Hadwin are 39 or better. He's a top 10 stat fit in my model this week. And remember, you guys can get the stat sheet that I'm looking at, as well as the membership for $10 a month. The link to that is in the description below. But Adam Hadwin is really popping. I really like this play at this price point. And then we go a little bit lower. I don't mind Russell Knox. He's a fine stat fit, fine course history, T8, T20. He's going to be one of those like really low ownerships if I include him in the player pool. Don't love it, don't hate it. Danny Lee does have 4 straight made cuts at this course. I don't think I'll play him, but if you did, I won't blame you. And then going lower, so Jim Furyk, this dude's been kind of a headache for me this year. Let me find him real quick, sorry. Jimmy boy, where you at? All right, let's just type him in. So 7.1K. He had 3 straight miscuts in a row. Really not good. We look at the course history, though, T13, T66, and a miscut. We know who Jim Furyk is, though. He's a guy that's going to place the ball where he needs to. He's first in fairways hit. Great with greens and regulation. First in that. And strokes gained approach, he's top 12 in that. So if he does have a good week, it wouldn't surprise me. I will have a little bit of ownership to him. Not a ton, but I don't mind the play. Now we're going to go down a little bit lower in the price range. Let's go back down. We got Corey Connors here. So Corey Connors, he's a fine stat fit, T31, T8 finish here. He had really struggled at the tail end, more recently. So maybe this time off is going to be good for him. We just don't really know. But he's just a bad putter. He ranks 200th or worse than that. Strokes gained total is not the best, but his total driving and ball striking is both top 20. He's 4th in greens and regulation, 17th in fairways hit. So if he does have a good week, it's not going to surprise me. Harry Higgs, I'm going to have a little bit in my player pool. He's a top 20 stat fit according to my model this week. He doesn't have any course history though, and I just don't know if we have to take the risk that low. Alex Noren's going to be a play that I don't mind as well. He had, missed 2 cuts in a row though, so that does alarm you a little bit. Then our boy is not getting any respect here with the pricing from DraftKings. Most of you, if you had looked over this earlier, you already know who it is. Let me pull him up. Our boy Matthew Naismith. Miscut in his last event prior to that, but before that, he had been rocking and rolling, and he's always pretty much been a value play this whole year. He's definitely my most owned value play on the year. He's pretty close to being my most owned player on the year. Now, he doesn't have course history, but all the stats that we're looking at this week, he's T54 or better. And they're all kind of right around that range. But, to get a guy that strong of a stat fit, this dude's a top 10 stat fit this week, and we're getting him at 6.9K, a guy who's done pretty well this season. I do like that price point. Now, like I said, we can't go overboard on anyone really this week. So that would be a play, though, that I would like. And then just some other plays I just want to touch on right now. It's still early. You see the timer on here. It's 180 hours until this bad boy goes live. Scott Piercy. So he really came on strong recently. Obviously, he missed the API, the cut at the API, but before that, he had rallied together some really good rounds. 10 out of 12 made cuts in the year. He's had pretty decent course history, T19 miscut, T7, T67, and his stats were really starting to come around. Now, they're not the best on the year, but they were starting to come around. He's a guy at this price point that I don't hate. You could kind of say the same for someone like Brendan Todd, who is really just strong at making fairways. He's top 5 in that. Decent putter as well, top 65 in that. He had come on strong at the end of the year, or recently I should say. Actually, he's just been solid for a while. If you just look at that course or the recent form there, that's pretty much been solid. So at that price point, it does seem like a steal. Now he doesn't have the course history that we like. Let's give a few more value plays here, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. So Chris Kirk, I want him to do well. If you guys haven't seen his story, it's kind of interesting one, and I hope he kind of didn't fall back into it at all. I'm not going to mention that too much more here, but he has strong course history here, and he's top 15 in fairways hit. He's T11, T67, and T15 for his course history, so he has shown that he can produce at this course. Vaughn Taylor also hasn't missed a cut here. He had made 3 straight cuts prior to the events being postponed. Tyler Duncan's a fine, GPP play. I don't love it. One player that I do need to bring up is going to be Chasten Howley, who, 7 out of 12 cuts, not the best, not the worst. Kind of mixed results. He had a T31 and T20 finish here in the last 2 years at this event. He is a top 35 stat fit, which, not too bad. Give him the course history, give him the stat fit. I will have a little bit of ownership to him. Not the most, but a little bit. Mark Hubbard, 17th in total putting, 33rd in fairways hit. Don't hate that. But there's 2 a little bit lower on that I just have to mention as well. And then we'll wrap this up. So Brian Stewart was a value play that we kind of played a decent amount early on. He has a T64, T32, and a T24 finish here in the last 2 years. He is top 30 in total putting, and he's 12th in fairways hit percentage, so not bad. And then one other player that I do want to mention is going to be Chad Campbell. 3 straight make cuts at this event, including a top 10 finish 4 years ago. Obviously, he's been playing poorly this year, and that's why his price is low. 15th in total putting, 3rd in favorite sit percentage, and he's top 80 in ball striking and total driving, which is, not horrible. These results, they weren't horrible. Recently they weren't great. And he did show that upside in one of his events. So, there's something there, maybe 5% ownership there. And that's going to be it, guys. Going to be a very, very interesting event. Obviously, I'll keep the content being produced. Just want to get this out to you guys so you have, some PGA DFS to look forward to. Should be a good one. I'll have the Charles Shaw challenge video out to you guys next week, and then I'll also be going live next week as well. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe. I always do appreciate it. All right, thanks guys. We're out, and let's have a good rest of the PGA DFS season. Should be pretty solid, actually. If you look at the fall schedule with all those majors, it's going to be great because that's when the recent form, the stats are all going to come together, and those should be some really high contests, and they'll be right during football season as well. It's going to be some good times. So, all right, guys, we're out. Thanks for watching.